Hello there, this is Brett Lonsdale and welcome to another webinar. So this afternoon we're going to be talking about Social Squared, and we're going to be looking at what Social Squared provides us as a discussion board inside of both SharePoint and also inside of Microsoft Teams as well. So first of all, just to introduce you to Lightning Tools. So Lightning Tools is part of a couple of different companies. One of them is known as Enlightening, which is a coaching company. So Enlightening specializes in Power Platform and SharePoint and related technologies coaching. So that's including things like Microsoft Teams as well. And of course, we've got Lightning Tools, which has been around since early 2007, and Lightning Tools provides a number of different products that are basically designed to help you be more productive and more efficient with inside of Microsoft SharePoint and also inside of Teams as well. So our tool set includes things like permissions management, and this is permissions management from the point of view of a business user that may have ownership rights to sites and site collections and other content as well, but also allows for central IT to be able to govern and manage permissions centrally across the Microsoft 365 tenant, or also inside of SharePoint on premises also. We also have a content aggregation tool known as the Lightning Conductor, and that product we have a webinar on next month. And the Lightning Conductor is a tool that is designed to aggregate content originally from across different sites and different site collections from SharePoint lists, but now has also grown into aggregating content through the Microsoft Graph. So you can get at content through things like OneDrive or Microsoft Teams and Microsoft To Do and that type of information. Of course, we've got the discussion boards that we're going to be taking a look at today, as well as a few of the products, things like data integration and data visualization, and we'll touch on that today as well. And then finally, we've got a SharePoint list form design tool where you can customize the classic or the modern list form experience inside of SharePoint on premises or SharePoint online and build business solutions through those forms. And a new addition to that is also Lightning List Actions, which allows you to perform bulk actions from within inside of multiple SharePoint lists. So these are the products that form our portfolio, and as I mentioned, we're going to be focusing in on Social Squared today. So what we're going to start off with is just a quick introduction to those that are new to Social Squared. We'll just have a quick look at what is Social Squared, why would you consider using Social Squared inside your organization, especially inside of Teams and SharePoint. And we'll also discuss a few use cases as well about how Social Squared has been used with some of our customers. And we are going to have a focus through the demonstration of some of the new features. So as well as looking at existing features in the demonstration, we'll have a look at what's brand new this month. So we have released a 3.0 release for SharePoint and also Microsoft Teams. So you can go through and see some of those new features as we go through. And we are going to summarize those features at the end as well. So it'll be clear what's new and what was existing. Following that, we're also going to be talking about reporting and analytics. So this is something that's fairly new to, well, not really specific to Social Squared, but we're going to be utilizing another product of ours called the Data Viewer, which is now being bundled with Social Squared for any customers, new or existing, that wish to report on the content within inside of Social Squared. So we'll look at what type of reports you can build and how you can go and build those using the data viewer, but also to use the data viewer to take advantage of other external data sources or SharePoint related content as well that you may want to report on. And right at the very end, there's going to be the opportunity to ask a question. So you can either do that through the chat window, or if you prefer, you can raise your hand and we can ask the question out loud. All right, so let's get going. So what is Social Squared? So first of all, Social Squared is a discussion board tool, otherwise known as discussion forums. And really what that means is you can have asynchronous discussions across multiple different forums with inside some form of page. And for this scenario, those pages are really SharePoint pages or they're Microsoft Teams. So the idea is you can take the type of forum discussions that you see out there on the internet, and I'm sure a lot of you have queried Google for a specific question you can't find the answer to, and one of the answers is usually given by somebody else that is inside of a community or is a subject matter expert in that particular area and has experienced exactly the same problem that you're experiencing, and they've solved it for you. They've written the answer, and that type of thing is really useful because you can see other people's reactions to that answer as well, whether they agree with it, whether they don't agree with it, and also through sort of verified answers as well. So actually marking a reply as an answer, and these are the types of features that you can take that are already out there on the internet and apply them to Teams or with inside of SharePoint, either as a sort of a discussion board that is organization wide, or something that is more specific to a department or a project that you're creating. So that community can be either a small tight knit community, or it can be a much larger community, depending on what you want to do. And of course, if you buy Social Squared, it's something that you can create multiple instances of, so you don't have to just use one instance. You could use an organizational wide instance, as well as add it to multiple teams and multiple SharePoint sites if that's what you want to do. So it is integrated into SharePoint and Teams, and that's where the content resides as well. So one of the benefits of Social Squared is the content isn't hosted, stored, or processed outside of your tenant, which means that you've got all of the advantages that Microsoft 365 has to offer around all of the authentication and all of the security that it provides through permissions and so on. So any type of conversations that you're having inside of Social Squared within a team, you can rest assured that nobody that doesn't have permissions to that team won't actually be able to read or view that content. So that's something that you're fully in control with inside of your environment. So all of the features that you would expect from a forum are available inside of Social Squared. So that includes things like marking as featured and marking as answered. So this gives a sort of verification that people agree with your reply. So if somebody does ask a question, whatever it is, whether it's a technical question, whether it's some form of discussion, you can, as a reader or as somebody that's benefited from that question or provided the answer, you can actually make other people aware that you're verifying that answer. And you can do that as the topic creator or as a moderator, and mark something as answered, which is really helpful to other people that are reading those posts. There's gamification as well. This really helps with awarding people for replying and also for marking things as answered. So that really helps spot those subject matter experts and to be able to trust the replies that they are giving to some of your questions. And yeah, notifications, of course, you have that through email or also through Teams notifications. You have the ability to create lots of rich content, including videos and attachments and images, rich text formatting, and so on. You can also mention people. You can tag content to make it easily found, and that's either through the tagging or also through the powerful search as well. And we've also got avatars and people cards now inside of Social Squared to improve the ability to see who's actually posting and who's replying to you. And then finally, there's also moderation as well. So as a moderator, you can approve posts, you can move them to more appropriate forums and that type of thing. So why Social Squared? Well, it can be used for a number of different reasons. So one of them that is quite widely used with inside of our customer base is to actually support learning. There's lots of universities and schools that use a discussion board that may have used a third-party tool that sits outside of Microsoft SharePoint in the past, but through the onboarding of Microsoft Teams into their educational authorities, they've been able to take advantage of Teams, but also take advantage of having a discussion board that's integrated into Teams as well. So Social Squared is an ideal fit to sort of support those classroom discussions. It also helps remote workers. So if you are still working remotely, not office-based, or if that's going to be a permanent thing, it's a way where you can have a platform for asynchronous discussions with some of your team workers. And yeah, of course, you do have the posts tab inside of inside of Teams. But one of the things with that is your questions, if you have them, could easily go out of the flow. So as you post that question, if that's a busy post tab with a lot of users that are members of that particular team, your post could easily go out of context and not displayed. So there's lots of reasons for using it. You can support onboarding new team members, so they come on board into your department or into your organization with lots of questions, and these are perhaps questions that have been risen before, so they can read and learn from other people. It's a great way also of retaining ideas and answers to questions. So when people have an idea, they either tell you verbally or they email you. So this is a way of capturing that information. It's something that they can get feedback on throughout their team members, but also yeah, that doesn't go away. It's stored there inside a social square and can also be searched and so on also. And yeah, it also integrates with SharePoint and Teams. So if you've made an investment into Microsoft 365 or SharePoint on premises, you can fully take advantage of that and build in there some discussion boards as well. And also, like I said, secure and easy to manage, because it's you're not managing users or anything like that. It's fully integrated into the Microsoft 365 platform. So different use cases. So supporting users with technical questions and answers. This is something that we're going to be taking a look at today, and it's a great fit for the product. So the example that we're actually going to give is something that I have seen a lot of our customers use, where there's a technical product that is being provided with inside their organization, and there's technical engineers that are able to support the sales team. So when the sales team come across different questions from the customers, they can reach out to the technical engineers, obtain the answers. That's something that they can share with their customers, but also learn as well, and their co-workers can also learn as time goes on. So you can support through technical Q&A, which is great, and that verified answers is really useful with that regard. You've also got the remote learning environment that we mentioned, or brainstorming discussions, which is useful, and as I mentioned, also managing discussions and questions about a product or a service that you provide as well. So let's take a look at Social Squared, see what it looks like inside of Teams and SharePoint. So I'm just going to Alt Tab here into my environment. Okay, so here we are in the Lightning Tools software tenant, and what we're going to do is navigate our way to the Sales Hub. And you'll notice under the Sales Hub that there is a technical sales Q&A. So as we navigate to that, we've got a page here, which is an app page, and it contains Social Squared. So inside of Social Squared, you can see that it's been separated into different forum groups and forums. And this is what makes those discussions more asynchronous. So like I say, rather than having a constant flow or a constant feed of posts from different users, when you do post inside of Social Squared, you're posting it into a particular category, whether you refer to that as a folder, as a forum, or a subcategory. It's basically organizing that content for you. So under Lightning Tools product questions, which is my forum group, you'll notice that I've got each of our products that form our portfolio, so that when a sales member is speaking to a customer and they get a question, they can come in here and they can ask that question and get the support from developers or from the tech support team who can help answer that question. And that way everybody's learning from that information that is available there. And you can search to see if your question has been asked before as well. So there's Lightning Tools product questions, and you can see that Social Squared is one of those forums, and we've also got Data Viewer and Deliver Point and so on. And as we scroll down, there's also another forum group which is housing a lot of the Microsoft 365 technologies. So of course, sometimes when you're discussing our products with our customer base, there's other questions that come up around Microsoft SharePoint and Teams and OneDrive that aren't necessarily related to our product. So those types of questions can be asked there as well. So that's how I've designed this forum group, but you can literally design this however you want. You can create your own forum groups for any type of subject that you want to create. So that might be different classroom subjects if it is supporting the education environment. So under the Lightning Tools product questions, you'll notice here that I've got the Social Squared forum. So we're going to navigate into that. And in here, you can see that there's a number of different topics that have been created. So each of these are their own sort of threaded conversations. So first of all, we've got one right at the very bottom here, which is what is Social Squared. So as we navigate into that, there's actually a post that Demo User 5 has created, and they've explained what Social Squared is. And I'm actually signed in here as a moderator as well. So one of the things that I could actually do is make this sticky. So as I click onto sticky, When we go into the page, I'm just going to refresh the page here and navigate back in, you'll notice that what is social squared is now right at the very top of the forum, because I've considered that as the moderator to be the most relevant post to this particular forum. So before you start reading all of the other questions that get fairly specific, anybody that is onboarded into the organization could really do with knowing what is social squared. So that's the first post that they're going to see. So we've got some other posts in here as well, and you can see that these are marked in bold because I've not yet read them. So let's go in and take a look at some of those. So there's one here that says, can we change the colors of a chart in the data viewer? So first thing that springs to mind is, well, this is actually a question on the data viewer, and yeah, you're going to learn later on inside this webinar that the data viewer can actually report on social squared content as well. But since it's a question about how to change the colors within inside the chart, it's perhaps going to be better answered if this particular post is inside the data viewer forum and not inside the social squared forum. So one of the things I can do there as a moderator is click onto move topic, and that will show all of the other forums that I've got within inside this site. So we can go through and choose the data viewer and move the topic to that location where it's more likely to be answered from a subject matter expert on the data viewer. So now you can see that that changed the colors of the data viewer has gone into that data viewer forum instead. Okay, so that's a type of thing that we can do as a moderator. Now I'm going to go in and create a new topic. So I'll add a new topic in here. And one of the questions that I'm going to ask is, where is the social squared content stored? So this is a question that we get asked time and time again. So is the social squared content stored in SharePoint or hosted externally? Okay, so that's the question. Now you can see, because of the question that I've asked, it contains certain keywords like social squared, and we've also got SharePoint in there as well. So one of the things that social squared is doing is actually suggesting some tags to me. So I can go through and select those tags just simply by clicking onto them, or I can also create my own tags as well, such as hosted data or something like that. So as we go through and create those tags, that in turn makes it a lot easier to find that content. Now I'm doing all of this inside of SharePoint at the moment, but what we can also do is respond to these as a different user, perhaps inside of Teams. So what I'm going to do is just jump into Teams as somebody else, and I'll drag this across onto the screen here, and you'll notice as we come into Teams, we've got exactly the same content that is shown. So I'm just going to refresh for a moment. And in the social squared forum, as we navigate into there, you can see that that sticky post is right at the very top, what is social squared, but immediately beneath that is, where is the social squared content stored. So this time I'm logged in as a different user. So we're going to go in and take a read of that. And as I reply, I can just simply say, it is stored in SharePoint lists. And I'm just going to put a little side note here to say, for on-premises, we used to store in SQL. Okay, so again, as we type that reply, you can see that SQL is also coming up as a tag that's been used inside this set of forums. So we can go through and reply with that effect, and there may have been another badge awarded to demo user 5 for replying. So we're just going to move that away for a moment. And as I go back in as my other account, we can go through and mark that as answered. And that's the piece that is going to help anybody else that has got the same question. So if that question comes up again from another customer in the future, there's the response that we can go back with, and that's been verified. So yeah, great. We can also vote that, we can like it, and give lots of other feedback as well using social squared to that particular user. Now, sometimes when you come into these posts, there's hundreds of different comments, which when we can see that it has been marked as answered, you'll see the green symbol like this if it's been marked as answered, and we can come in here and we can jump straight to the answer. So we don't have to scroll through pages and pages of comments. We can just show that answer and yeah, go with that response, which is really useful to do. Okay, so that's the type of thing that we can do. Now, you'll also notice that there's lots of other options across the top here when we go into a post. So we can delete the topic. You can do that as the moderator or also as the topic creator, and we can move it as you saw or make it sticky. One of the things I can also do is lock the topic. So if this is something where we've posted a question and we're getting lots of different answers, it's already been marked as answered and so on, but people are still responding, we can simply go through and lock that, and nobody else can reply anymore. It's just literally there for read-only purposes, and it's still going to serve people when they're trying to find the answer to their questions. You can also subscribe. Now, there's different ways of subscribing. We can subscribe to a particular topic. So if this is something where it hasn't yet been answered and I've got the same question as this and I'm really keen to know what the answer is, I can actually come in here and subscribe to that post. So when it does get answered, I'm going to be notified either through a Teams notification or through email, depending on which one I've got switched on. And you can also go through and subscribe other users as well if you want to. So if you want to you know, include some of your team members that are also going to benefit from this, they can also be subscribed to that particular thread. Now, that is just for that one topic. But if we go back a level, you can also subscribe or unsubscribe to the entire forum as well. So this is something that you're more likely to do if you are logged in here as a subject matter expert, and you know, maybe you're a social squared expert or a SharePoint expert, and you want to actually be serving your community of people by coming in here and replying to them. So that way you want to be notified when there is a new topic created. So as soon as that new topic is created, that will serve me with a notification, which is really useful. Okay, so that's a type of thing that we can do when we are creating content. And as we also add a new topic, you'll notice that the rich content includes the ability to insert things like motion icons. You can insert videos, whether it's from tools like Wistia or Stream or YouTube. They can be inserted easily and embedded. Likewise with images, you can actually just copy and paste those. You don't have to upload an image. You can copy and paste it straight into the thread. And if you're discussing things like code, you can also insert the code snippets as well. So that will maintain the code formatting as you go through and insert that into your post there. And one of the new features, just to point out, is the ability to post anonymously. So this is something you can do either as the creation of a topic or also when you're replying to someone. Now, quite often, there's a few of us that don't want to sound ridiculous or stupid or whatever when you're replying to someone. You're not sure whether your answer is correct. And one of the things you can do there is just come in, and when you hit reply, you can say, I want to post this anonymously. I'm just going to answer yes. You don't need to see me typing. So I can go through and reply with that effect, and nobody will know who posted that. It's just posted as anonymous there. So that's a really useful feature, especially if you're trying to get feedback from people in terms of ideas. Anybody that is a little bit shy and doesn't want that post to be associated with them, you can still get that feedback and they can still get engaged, which is useful to do. Okay, so moving on to sort of findability in search, we've got some improvements in this build as well for 3.0. So next month is Lightning Conductor month. I want to know what's new in that release. So what I'm going to do is actually do a search for Lightning Conductor. And as I do that, you'll notice that because I put lightning space conductor, it's actually looking for these words independently. So notice how we've got lightning as one word, lightning conductor in here, and so on and so forth. So what we can do, you'll notice as you click onto the eye symbol here that you can use different operators within inside your search to get different results. So what I'm going to do here is just drop in the plus. Oops. So just drop in the plus here and perform my search again. And you'll notice this time I just get the post back about the lightning conductor, and the keyword that I searched for is highlighted, so we can find that more easily. There's also the refinement where you can pick and choose whether you want to search in just the title, the content, the tags, or also complete words as well. And you can then go through and navigate to that topic if you wanted to read it. Okay, and we'll give a bit of feedback whilst we're here. So that's using the search. You'll also notice that there's the tag cloud. So nothing new here, but just a useful thing to point out for anybody that's new to Social Squared. These are all the tags. So when you create a post or reply to a post and you do tag it with a particular word, this helps you to go and find that content. So if we are looking for something that is Microsoft SharePoint related, we can click onto that tag and we can see all the posts about Microsoft SharePoint in here. And we can start to navigate through perhaps the ones that we've not read yet and reply to those if necessary. Okay, so another new feature to show you is the avatars. So you'll notice that you've got an avatar now with a presence indicator, and if you hover over that, you get the people card. And that people card, so that people card here allows me to go through and send an email to a particular person. We can also start a chat with that person through Teams, and we can also look at that person on LinkedIn as well if we want to. And using the AI with inside of SharePoint, it's also figured out that this particular demo user 5 reports to me, so we can see that sort of information as well. Clicking onto view activity, we can follow a user. And by doing that, it's similar to subscribing to a post, but we're actually sort of subscribing to a user. So anything that that user posts, we're also going to be notified about. So that's something we can do at that level. And you can also mention inside the post as well, if you want to. So another view is to actually search on a user. So we can do that. We can perform a search for a particular user in here. So in fact, that's a bad choice. Demo user 10 didn't post anything. Let's do a search for demo user 5 and hit view. And so in here, we can see everything that that user posted, and that may be the trigger to say, yeah, I kind of like the sort of thing that she's posting. We want to follow her and make sure that we're notified of any posts that she creates in the future. Okay, so that's the type of thing that we can do through there. And yeah, there's just a few other types of views that you've got. So you've got things like active users, users that you're following, so you can see that. And we've also got recent activities and popular topics as well, which is a great view to come in and just see, what is being popular based on where are all the discussions taking place. This is the sort of thing that is going to be displayed here inside of that view. So all of that is being created inside of SharePoint, but like I say, that's available inside of Teams as well as SharePoint. What we're going to do next is actually go through and configure a new instance so you can see how simple it is to set up these forum groups and forums. So what we've got here under the research and development is a brand new team site called R&D Collaboration. And when we go into that particular site here, what we're going to do is add a team. So we'll click onto that. So we get teams created behind the scenes whilst we're talking. So in a moment, that will be available to me. But I'm also going to go through and instantiate Social Squared. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing that. I can create a page and then I can add Social Squared to that page. Or I can also, when I go to add a page, rather than clicking a blank page and then adding a web part on it, I can jump straight to apps here and choose the Social Squared forum. So, so that is going to effectively create a page that's all to do with Social Squared. And as I choose that, notice that it's generating the lists for me. So these are the lists that are storing the content. So they belong inside that site. They're protected by whoever has permissions to this site and the Microsoft permissions framework. So, so that's great. We can click on OK to that, and we can give this this page a name. So so the name I'm going to give this is R&D product innovation. Okay, so it's a brand new instance. It's a separate instance to the one you saw before. We've got exposure to all the properties as soon as we add the page or the app page. But more importantly, we can actually save that, and we can then go through and start defining the different forum groups and forums that we want to have. So in here, we can have a forum group called New Product Ideas. So that's my first forum group. And inside that forum, we can have SharePoint products. And notice this is where we can create the moderator. So if you did have somebody that is perhaps the product manager or something like that, let's say that is demo user 5, for example, we can go through and select demo user 5, make them the moderator. We can have multiple moderators if we want to, and we can also add some additional options as well, such as do you want these posts to actually require approval before they're shown, or do we always want to show them but just have that moderation capability for pulling the posts down or modifying those posts if we want to. So that's how we can go through and create a new forum group and a new forum. So as we navigate back up to the forum groups, we could have one called existing products and roadmap, something to that effect. And then we can start adding the different products like we did before. And don't worry, I'm not going to go through and create every single one of them. So we could add a social squared forum, add that, and that's how easy it is to get started. So you can really quickly and easily add social squared to a page. It will generate the lists. Just go through and define your different forum groups and your forums, and they'll get created, and your users can come in and start adding topics and engaging with each other. And whilst I've been doing all of that, hopefully this is now available inside of Teams. So as we navigate to Teams here, I'm just going to use the web app as an example. So that will bring me to the team in question. So we're under the new R&D team, and notice that I can now go in and add social squared as a tab within inside that environment. So we'll click on to add. So it's not going to need to generate the lists or anything like that. They're already created. What this is going to do is basically use those existing lists that belong in the underlying SharePoint site. So notice how you've got the new product ideas and the existing products and roadmap coming through there. And there's a number of different properties that are Teams specific. So in here, notice that you can enable the channel notifications. You can also enable the email notifications and things like that as well, or edit post notifications. And all of these notifications will come up as a banner. So you'll see those inside the team environment. And if you use the mobile phone app for Teams, then you get the mobile notifications as well popping up on your phone. So that's a great way of actually seeing somebody create a new post or reply to a post when you're using your mobile and you're out and about. And then there's a number of other refinements as well. So different things that you can switch on and switch off. So likes and votes and badges and things like that. They're not always relevant based on the type of forum that you're creating. So you can go through and tweak these depending on the type of forum that you are creating. So that's how we can go through and define all of that with inside of Teams and SharePoint. If you are inside of Teams and you have a channel other than the general channel, so I'm just going to go through and add a new channel in here, and we're going to call this one product innovation. So I'll add that brand new channel to the team. Notice that I can add social squared there, and both of those forum groups are going to be displayed inside that same team. But what we can decide to do is actually have only one of those forum groups display. So we want the new product ideas. So in the drop down here, I can select any forum groups that I want to display rather than display all of the forum groups. And now it's just way more contextual. So whenever we're on the general tab, we're going to see, or general channel, we're going to see both of those forum groups. But when we're in the product innovation, you're just seeing the new product ideas, and we're keeping all of the topics and all the discussions around new product ideas. Okay, and the only other thing to really point out while we're in Teams here is the fact that you can go through and, of course, change your settings. So if you prefer the dark mode, since we are talking about technology, you don't work inside of technology unless you have the dark mode switched on. So you can go through and switch that on, or also for high contrast and so on. That will also reflect that change. And inside of SharePoint, it will pick up the theme that is applied to either your Hub or to your SharePoint site. So when you go to change the look, that's what's going to give Social Squared the different colored accents and so on that it uses. Okay, so that's how we can get up and running with Social Squared. Really straightforward and easy in order to get there. And like I said, you could have lots of different instances created around your environment. And one of the ones that I've got here is actually around technical support. So I'm just going to navigate to that one. In fact, let's just do it from here. Sorry, that's the wrong place to go. Never mind. Let's go back this way. There we go. So, so inside of technical support, what I wanted to do is just show you that again we've got Social Squared deployed in here, so we can go through to see Social Squared, but also see the reporting as well, which is where we're going to go just next. So, so this is actually reporting on a different set of posts. So we've got a technical Q&A around tech support. So there's SharePoint questions, there's team questions, planner, Excel questions, and so on. So we can go in here and see lots of different topics that have been created and different replies to them and so on. Now, what is key is to know that people are actually responding to these posts and they are marking them as answered and so on. So reporting and analyzing with Social Squared is something that we're now offering, and this is as a additional product called the Data Viewer. So the Data Viewer is something that has been around for quite some time, but what we can do is use it directly against the Social Squared content. And we've designed a number of different sort of walkthroughs to help you build different charts and different reports on that content as well. So you can see like how long questions have gone unanswered for. You can see what forums are more popular or how engaged different users are or anything like that as well. So as we jump back into SharePoint, let's have a look at some of those reports that we've created. So we can go into this report page here, and you'll see there's a number of different charts that load. So first of all, we've got a tree map. So this is loaded on the left-hand side. So this is actually showing the popularity of tags. So these are all the tags that are used inside that particular tag cloud. And we can see as we hover over that, the tag and also how many instances of that tag there are. So that will obviously decrease as we sort of move across to the right here. We've also got another chart on the right here, which shows the number of topics and likes and votes per month. And all of these can be completely changed. These are not sort of standard at all. You can report in any way, which way you want. We've got the number of topics per user as well that is being created. So we can see that Sandy is being a little bit slack there in creating topics. We've also got the number of posts per forum as well, so which are our more popular forums. And sorry, I was hoping for another one there. And we've also got some gauges that's not displaying for some reason. And then we've also got another report as well, which is showing me all of the unanswered posts. So everything here that you see has gone unanswered. The conditional formatting inside the data viewer is showing me a red icon if that's over 20 days where it's gone unanswered. If it's between 10 and 20 days, then it goes amber. And if it's less than 20 days, less than 10 days, then that's displaying inside of the green icon. And you can use conditional formatting in lots of different ways here to show thumbs down, thumbs up, whether it's answered or not. You've got data bars to show you the number of likes each post has received and that type of thing as well. So let's go in and take a look at how some of these are created, but also point out that this whole thing can also be displayed inside of Teams too. So as we navigate into Teams, and I just find the tech support team. So you'll notice that we have that same page displayed in here. So you can, oh, there we go, my gauges worked this time. So in here we can see the same report available inside of Teams right next to the discussion boards in Teams as well. Okay, and it's also possible, just like with Social Squared, you can add the data viewer independently. So rather than displaying a page with different web parts on it, you can actually just show a single instance of a report using the data viewer in there as well, which you can see that one's showing different gauges and so on. Okay, so how we go and configure these, if we just navigate back to the page, and I'm just going to click onto edit. So as I mentioned, all of the content that you create inside of Social Squared is stored inside lists which belong to that particular site. So that's what we're reporting against in this regard. So if we take this one as an example, we can go in and edit this with the data viewer. So you can provide it with a title. The data source provider is in this case SharePoint lists, but also to point out that you can use the data viewer against lots of other different data sources as well. So it may be an Excel workbook or a SQL Azure database, or something else that you have inside your environment that you want to connect to. It has two different ways of reporting, so either in a grid like the one at the bottom that we saw, or in a chart. And the data source for this particular instance is pointing to those SharePoint lists. So notice that one of the hidden lists here is called tag cloud, and that list, as we select it and go to the columns, you can see I'm just selecting a couple of the columns here. One is the value, which contains the tag verb itself, and then we've got the count of how many times that tag has been used. So they're the two columns that I'm selecting. You've got the ability to also add calculated columns or to be able to filter on this as well. So if it was with a particular date range that you had in mind or something like that, you can go through and apply the filter on it. And as we click onto the display, you'll see that we've got that tree map, but there's also the gauges, pie and donuts, and also combo charts that you can go through and select. So this particular one, we just choose which column is going to be our column containing the value, which determines the size of each square, and which one is going to be the term that we're grouping by. So that is basically set in here, and you can go through and define your different colors and things like that that you may want to use with inside of that tree map. So that's just a simple tree map showing you the popularity of the tags. If we move across to this one on the right here, you'll notice that that particular one, again, connecting to a SharePoint list, and this time it's the posts list. So this is where all of the posts get created, including the replies to the posts. So as you can see, each topic has an ID, and it also has the Boolean as to whether it's answered or not. It's got a number of votes, number of likes, and things like that as well that it keeps a counter of. So they are used quite simply inside my chart, where we've got a combo chart selected, and I've gone through and selected those columns that we want to show. You can choose the type of chart, whether it's going to be an area, a scatter, a line, or a column, and also the color that you can go through and select. And this particular one, I'm selecting the theme color so that it blends nicely with the site that I'm on. And then we want other things to stand out. So we've got a line, which is set for the number of votes, and also the pink area that is set for the number of likes. And we've got the grouping going on by month, but you could also group that by quarter if you wanted to, and so on. And that will change obviously the chart and how it's displayed on the page there. Okay, so really simple one, that to get that type of chart going on. And then we've got similar ones, so just a count of the number of posts per forum. We've got gauges in here as well. So this is showing each user, and it's got a target set on the number of user badges that they need to be awarded, so we can see whether they're actually responding to people. So a great one for sort of tech support staff that are providing answers to their questions. They can have a bit of gamification going on as to who's providing the most replies. So in here, this one is configured again to connect to a SharePoint list. The data source, as you can see, is badges this time, and the columns, we've got the title, the count, and then also a target which can be overwritten as well. So that gives me the ability to choose a gauge. We can set our columns for the current value and also the target value. And under the chart settings in here, you can actually go through and set the different colors that are used for the different ranges on the chart. So if we're within the green, that means we've hit our goal, and so on. And if you don't have a target value inside your list, then you can actually overwrite that value in here as well. So we can overwrite the target that is being set, and that's set my gauge up to 30 now. So we can go through and save that one. So the final one is not a chart. This is actually a grid view. So this is using the grid view to connect to the posts, and then we simply go through and choose the columns that we want to show. There's a simple calculated column in here that is calculating the number of days old that the post is, and there's conditional formatting then going on with inside there as well. And you can see that here. So on the number of days, as we click onto the conditional formatting, this is where the different icon was set. So I choose a clock, set the color for that clock, and we set where that calculated column needs to be in order to display that relevant icon. So anything that is over 20 will be displaying that red icon, and so on. Okay, so that's the type of thing, but it's completely flexible. You can design your own reports, your own charts, and so on around that content, so that you can actually see how well people are engaging inside the Social Squared discussion forums. All right, so just back to the slides. So just a summary of what's new in the version 3 of Social Squared. So the avatars and the people cards are brand new. So this is something that we've been working across all of our products this year. So the avatars and people cards have made it to Deliver Point for permissions management reporting, also into the Lightning Conductor. When you're aggregating content, you've got people columns that are being displayed. They will all render as people cards, and now that's been pushed out to Social Squared as well. The ability to post anonymously. I did see a question come in, so I'll address that here. Can you actually disable the post anonymously? So actually, yeah, the answer is yes for on-prem, but it's something that yeah, we've got that feedback already. We need to make sure that people can turn that off inside the SPFX version. So this is something that we are going to be adding very shortly in order to turn that feature off, so you can make your own decision as to whether you want to allow people to post anonymously or not. I can understand the reason why you would want to do that. The improved search and findability, so the ability to change the sentence that you're searching on, and also the highlighting of the keywords that you're searching for has been improved. And we've also created different language support for Social Squared as well. So we've got German, French, Spanish, and Dutch as additional languages. So if you do set your regional settings for a particular site or for a user to German, let's say, then you're going to see Social Squared obviously not render the content in German, but it's going to render the user interface of Social Squared into German for you. And finally, we've got the Social Squared analytics, which is driven through the data viewer. So they are the new features that we've pushed out. And just really in summary, yeah, we've had an overview of Social Squared. You've seen hopefully the benefits of using that inside of your environment, your organization for different reasons, and we've seen how to facilitate those discussions with inside of Teams and also inside of SharePoint, as well as seeing the reporting and analyzing. There's a few resources. So if you want to learn a bit more about Social Squared or the data viewer, you can go to lightningtools.com, click onto products, and you'll see the products in there. You can navigate to them. There's two product pages for Social Squared, one that focuses in on Teams, the other one that focuses in on SharePoint. So you can go through and see the videos depending on what sort of environment you're looking to use it in. And there is a trial as well for 30 days. So you can obtain that, and existing customers can go to the Customer Download Center and get the new update from there if you want to. And there's also the ability to register for future product webinars as well. So they are already up on our website. You'll see those on the homepage and also on the webinar page. So we've got one next month on the Lightning Conductor, and the month after that is on Lightning Forms. So we're going to be making some new features available for both of those products too. All right, so I can see there's a few questions that have come in. Yeah, we've got one here. So do you still receive notifications if other users reply to your anonymous post? So good question. No, it would not send a notification, I don't believe. I might need to check that one. Maybe we can ask tech support. And then another question here is with the languages, just to clarify, specific user could change it to French and it translates. So it doesn't translate the content. So it's not going to translate the actual post itself or the reply to the post. We're talking more about the user interface of Social Squared. So the settings and yeah, the buttons and view names and things like that. That's basically what is translated. So it's the user interface of Social Squared. Okay, and then yeah, another question here is there a limit to how many people can use Social Squared or how many forums you can create? So absolutely not. So you can create as many forums as you like. So you can use it across multiple teams, multiple SharePoint sites throughout your environment. Those teams can be obviously smaller teams, or they can be organizational wide teams. You can also add Social Squared as a personal app inside of Teams as well. So that can be something that is set as the root site for all of the different forums. So it's a very wide scope, so great for a sort of organizational wide forum as well. But yeah, the number of users is based on the license that you would get. So we license Social Squared per user, and that's based on the number of SharePoint profiles inside your environment. Okay, great. So another question is, will the updates transfer over to the personal app? So this particular update has included some additions that require you to download the package again. So the answer is yes. If you download the package and install that into your app catalog and update it that way, you're going to get these new features in the personal app as well as inside of Teams and SharePoint. So you'll get all of those. Any sort of hot fixes that don't require a new package, just to verify that, we can make directly to the CDN. So that way you get those changes if we need to make a smaller update. But yeah, this one with the different language packs and things like that does require a new package for you to download. Okay, and another question, can you create subsidiary forums so that other subsidiaries couldn't see the board? So yeah, so the scope is always going to be a team or it's going to be a site. That's where the lists and libraries exist. So if you wanted two completely different isolated forums, you would create those in two different sites, different permissions set on those sites, and that way, yeah, people won't be able to get engaged with forums that they should not have access to, or something like that. So hopefully that addresses the question. Forums can't be set on a specific forum using Social Squared. So if you do require that isolation, then that's where you would do that inside a different site or something to that effect. Okay, I think that's all the questions that I can see here. So yeah, if there is any other questions that you do have, please feel free to reach out to us on sales@lightningtools.com, and yeah, be more than happy to answer them there. So thanks very much, everybody, for joining, and hopefully see you on a future webinar soon.